So, we drew a cat in Moho. What's next? Oh yeah, Moho is an animation program. Duh. Let's rig the cat and animate him. Hey, welcome to Little Green Dog's animation tutorial series. In this episode, we're going to rig Thumbs Up Cat, the character we drew back in Let's Draw Vector Art in Moho Part 2. And if we have time, we'll animate him too. The version of Moho we'll be using is 14.3, but these rigging techniques also work in versions 12.5 and 13.5. We're doing this lesson a little differently. Since we learned about bone binding techniques and how to rig a tail in previous lessons, I'll work through this project at my normal pace, and I'll comment mainly when I do something new or interesting that I haven't shown before. If you'd like to follow along, you can download the Thumbs Up Cat activity file from our Ko-fi page. And when you need to check your work, there's a completed version of the rig for you to look at. Okay, let's get started. The first thing is to convert the group called Bones into an actual bone group. Now we have a place to build our rig. As you may recall, when I rig a character, I begin with a root bone. It doesn't matter if the character is a cat, a pony, an octopus, or a human. The root bone is where the character's skeletal bones branch out from. Typically, the root bone is placed at the character's hips, and the spine branches upward from it. Thumbs Up Cat's tail also branches from the root. If he had legs, the leg bones would branch downward. You know, saying Thumbs Up Cat is a mouthful, so I'm going to call our guy Tuck. I like to color code and name all of my bones. When there are many bones in a rig, it makes it easier to identify and select them. I'm selecting the upper spine bone, so it becomes the parent for the arm bone when I add it. If you miss selecting the bone for the parent, you can correct this later using the Reparent tool. I'm sure I'll miss a few, but so long as I correct any parenting issues before setting up smart bones or animating the rig, I'm not too worried about it. Let's color and name the arm bones. I'm using a different color to distinguish the arm bones from the spine bones. By the way, this is what's called a one-off or a shot-specific rig, which means it's only meant to perform a limited range of animation for a few scenes. In an upcoming tutorial, I'll talk about differences between one-off and general-purpose rigs and how to decide which type you need. Let's copy and paste the arm bones for the other arm. Hide the body layer so we can see the left arm to line up the bones. Oops, I should have dropped the bones before rotating the upper arm. To drop selected items, press the Escape key. I don't normally add bones for fingers, but in this case, Tuck has only got one thumb, and I think the bone will make it easier to animate it. We don't need this thumb bone, so delete. Since these arm bones are for the left side, I'll rename them. Let's check the parenting. And yeah, I missed this one. No biggie. To use the reparent tool, Alt-right-click to select the child bone, and then left-click to set its parent bone. So in this case, Alt-right-click to select the upper left arm bone, and then left-click on the spine bone. Let's check the right arm to be sure. Yeah, that's correct. Let's save the file. Okay, what's next? Let's add bones for the ears. This bone will hold the base of the ear to the head. And this bone will allow me to wiggle it. I normally apply different colors to the left and right sides, but I don't feel that's necessary for this rig. That's more important for characters that can turn sideways. Now I'll add a face bone. This is a mover bone that I'll be attaching all the face parts to. This is the technique I used in the Mr. Smarty Bones lesson in Endless Nachos Part 3. Nose bone, mouth bone, jawbone, This one will be the mover bone for the eyes. Eyebrows. Let's talk about the tail. It's possible to rig a tail when it's posed like this, but in my experience, a tail will animate more smoothly when it's drawn straightened out, like this. So let's make this a drawing tutorial again and draw the new tail art. Select and delete the curves so we have an empty layer to draw in. Choose the Draw Shape tool and make sure it's set to rectangle. That looks about the right size. Add a point for the tip and pull it outward. Using curvature, I'll make the tip more rounded. Now select the 2 points in the top edge. I'll use a menu command in the Draw group called Split Curve to add more points in between. 8 points should do it. Yeah, that looks good. Let's do the bottom edge. These points will allow me to bend the tail using the Sketch Bones tool. If you don't know about that, be sure to watch our tutorial on how to rig a tail. I'm going to move the tail away from the body, which makes it easier to select the bones during animation, which I think was also covered in that tutorial. I'll hide the edge at the base of the tail. This is useful when the tail layer needs to be in front of the body. We don't need to see the old tail anymore, so let's hide it. Now, let's rig the tail. I'm choosing the Sketch Bones tool and setting the bone length to 0.12 units. The tail artwork is a little long for this bone chain, so I'll shorten the artwork. This will be easier than adjusting the bones. That's good. I'll use link bones to bind the selected tail layer to the selected bones. Let's test it. The edges look faceted, which means they have sharp points. So let's use Curvature Smooth button to smooth them. That's better. It could be a little better. I'm going to apply Curver to the artwork. Curver is what's called a spline deformer, and it can bend things more smoothly than bones. The dark area is the curver's zone of influence. I'm making it a little longer to be sure the entire tail is inside it. We need to add some points to the curve. Fewer points result in a smoother bend, and more points will add more detail, so you want to have a good balance. In this case, I'm inserting a point at the tip of each bone. That's probably more than we need, but let's see how it goes. The zone is a bit wide, so I'll use the Line Width tool to narrow it. Let's bind the curver to the tail bones, using link bones. It can be hard to animate a tail with curver by itself. However, you can bind a curver layer to tail bones and get the benefit of using both techniques. I see a sharp corner here. Let's fix that by adjusting the curvature in the tip point. That's better. Now let's move the tail bones using the Offset Bones tool. So what does this do? Let's step into frame 1 to see. Offset Bones allows you to rig something away from your character and reposition it where we want it for animation. Let's do a little more testing. Looking good. Delete the keyframes. Okay, what should we do now? Let's bind the torso. Select the bones. Wait, we don't want the head bone, just the spine and root bones. Now use link bones to bind the torso layer. Let's select the root bone and reduce the strength to 0. Whoops, let's try that again. Select the root bone and reduce the strength to 0. Let's reduce the bone strength in the spine bones. This will give us a slightly sharper bend in the middle. How do I know? After doing this for a while, you'll develop an intuition for what works. Now I'll bind these two bottom points to the root bone. This will hold the edge steady when the body is moving. Let's test it. Torso looks good. Head and arms look a little funky though, because we still need to bind them to their bones. So let's do that. Use bind layer for the head layer. That's better. I want to reduce the bone strength for all the arm bones. This will make the bend in the joints a little sharper. Use link bones for each arm. Test it. Yeah, that looks good. Let's bind the ears. Oh shoot, I misnamed the ear layers. This one should be ear R. Let's also fix ear L. That reminds me, I should have done this before we started, but we can still do this. If we show the overlays layer, we'll see letters indicating the left and right sides of the character. If you're wondering why the R is on the left side of the screen and the L is on the right side, it's because the letters represent the character's right and left sides. I like to use this overlay because, even after doing this for over a decade, sometimes I still get mixed up. By the way, these layers are set to be unselectable and unrenderable, which is convenient for layers that are meant for reference only. Okay, back to the ears. I'll bind the bottom edge points to the ear base bone. And the upper points to the ear bone. Now do the same for the other ear. That's okay, but let's make it better. I'll bind the bottom point in this line to the ear base. Let's do the same for the other ear. Yes, that's better. I'll use bind layer for each eyebrow layer. The muzzle is more complicated. I'll use bind points to bind the nose to the nose bone. Now select the mouth bone, then select a point in the muzzle, and press Tab to select the connected points. Also select the two top points for the mouth shape. Now bind the selected points to the selected mouth bone. Hang in there because we're almost done. Select the jawbone, then select the bottom points in the mouth and the points in the tongue. And bind these points. Because all of these items use point binding, these bones don't need bone strength, and we can set them to 0. Oh, look at that. My left and right overlays are moving. I must have accidentally keyframed them. Let's fix that. There it is. It looks correct on frame 24, so I'll copy and paste that frame to frame 0. All fixed. Let's use the Bind Layer tool to bind the whisker layers to the nose bone. The eyes layers are misnamed too. Let's fix that. With the Bind Points tool, select the eyes bone, the points for the eye and eyelash, and click Bind Points. Now select the pupil bone, the points in the iris, and click Bind Points. Repeat these steps for the other eye. We don't need bone strength for any of these bones. Now let's test the face bones. Whoops, looks like I made a mistake. I didn't correctly bind the mouth and tongue points to the jawbone. Let's fix that. There we go. So that leaves his thumb. Select the thumb layer, And with the Bind Points tool, select the thumb bone, the points in the thumb, and click Bind Points. This bone doesn't need strength either, so set it to 0. I think that takes care of the rigging stage, so let's test the whole rig. Yeah. Now let's try posing tuck. Alright, looking good, Tuck. Thanks for helping us out. So the next stage is to animate it. Or not. Because I hear music, and you know what that means. It looks like this 2-part tutorial with a bonus lesson is about to become a 3-part tutorial with a second bonus lesson. Imagine that. Right now, I want to thank our friends who supported us on our Ko-fi page. You guys rock! When you buy us a coffee or purchase something from our Ko-fi page, you're supporting our tutorial and animation projects. Additionally, as a supporter, your name will be added to the credits of our next video. Join me next time to see how I animate Thumbs Up Cat. Until then, stay safe, have fun, and I'll see you soon.